Hey everyone, it's Lindsay from My Crafty Plans. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Happy September. Today I'm going to be setting up my Erin Condren Family Organizer, my main monthly planner for the month ahead, which is September. This planner is a combination family hub, organizer, and memory keeper. I actually use this for all areas of my life, not just family stuff. And I have just found this so incredibly functional this year. It's just really been one of my favorite planners of the year. We're gonna get that all set up. So I've got some really fun fall washies and a bunch of pens and markers that we're gonna use to set up my calendar and all of the dashboard pages, create some journaling space, which I will use later in the month, get everything all set up. We're actually gonna start with a flip through of all of my completed August pages, and we're gonna work on a little memory spread together. I thought that that would be fun. I will leave timestamps down in the description below if you wanna skip over that, but I will be recapping some highlights from my recent vacation to Colorado, which was a 10-year anniversary trip that my husband and I took together without the kids. It was super, super fun. A little bit dramatic, and I will share some of that and also put together a photo memory spread so you can see how I've been using some of the blank pages in this planner to do sort of photo memory journaling throughout the year, which I haven't shared too much of because it's got a lot of pictures of my kids and we don't share pictures of our kids on social media. But this trip is the perfect opportunity. We've got some kid-free pictures to play around with, so I thought that that would be really fun to do together. We're gonna dive into that now, and then the planning portion of this video will be sped up with a voiceover, so stay tuned. All right, let's flip through my August pages, and then we are gonna set up my book journaling space and my picture memory spread. I already have everything all printed out, so here is how my calendar turned out. I just really love this color scheme and like the way that the washies look layered on top of each other. Absolutely love that. This is of course from Simply Gilded, but the way the washi underneath is actually the wildflower washi from Erin Condren, and I pulled in some of the flowers as well. This planner is a harmony neutral color scheme, but they have a very similar color palette. So that was my calendar, our little to schedule and work section here, my little one-page summary of goals and goings-ons for the month. This was my back to school prep list, which came in super handy, and we're back to school. Everything's all good. Then I had this, all of my summer PTA stuff, just some notes about that and some dates to remember. This is the journaling page, which I actually haven't done this yet. I thought I had already done that, but I haven't done this yet. And then I also have this page, which will be my book journal. So this, we'll get this set up all together today. Then I also have, I did really use my notes page a lot this month because I was going really light with my other planners because there was a lot going on and the trips and all this stuff. So I just do have this one, these pages all set up. Then this is where we're gonna do the photo journal spread. And then here is my memory keeper, where it looks like I am just a few days that I forgot to do right here at the end of the summer, which I've already done some of September, so I must have just missed that the last 2 days were there. And then I have a couple little things here. Some of them I did start on, but I have not done all of them. So we are gonna memory keep and journal together, and probably while I do the book stuff, I'll talk about the books, but while I do everything else, I will talk about our trip and just how our summer went overall. I'm gonna do that as a sped up voiceover as well. So let's dive in. So I just got started by cutting out all of the pictures and everything. That way you can kind of see what's going on, and we're going to work on all of the journaling pages as well as the picture pages as well. I'm really excited to share this with you, so definitely let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more stuff like this going forward. But this was my husband and I 10-year anniversary trip. We decided to take a vacation without the kids to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary, which was so fun and so exciting despite some major setbacks before we left for the trip. If you don't know what happened, I had an allergic reaction to menthol, which is like the active ingredient in Icy Hot, from a cream on my neck like 3 days before we left for the trip, and it caused chemical burns like from my ear all the way down to my shoulder on the left side, and it was so incredibly painful and just looked horrendous. It still looks not great, and it is very much healing, although it looks a million times better. But I had to go to urgent care. I had to go to the dermatologist. I was on like so many different medications, and it was really bad. And yeah, like I said, just one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. But we had already prepaid for a lot of this trip, and even more important than that in my mind is we'd already lined up childcare, and it's really hard to get someone to watch 3 kids. So we decided to just kind of go for it, and we still had a really amazing trip. We spent 5 days in Colorado. We flew into Denver, we rented a car, and the first thing up was we drove to Vail, which is a ski town, and it is just such an adorable and beautiful little town, and it's got some really great views. We had a really nice time there. We were very, very much taking it easy because that was kind of like the peak of my pain at that point, but we were able to like ride the gondola up and take a very easy hike. There's a lot of really amazing restaurants. We were staying in a super nice hotel. We got a really great deal on Priceline because it's kind of off season there. So we spent 2 days in Vail, and then we drove from Vail to like this little town called Nathrop, and the drive was just seriously the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And we did whitewater rafting there. So it's like kind of a little bit west of Colorado Springs, which is where we were headed after that. But we spent 1 day kind of in between the two so that we could go on this whitewater rafting trip. And then we stayed at a hot springs resort at Mount Princeton while that night, which was really, really fun. I did not enjoy the hot springs as much as I usually would have. I am very much like a hot springs. Well, I've actually never been to a hot springs, but I'm very much like a hot tub sauna kind of person. But because of the burns on my neck, I couldn't really like go all the way in. I was still able to go in a little bit, but it was really hard for me to be in the sun. I was like having to keep things covered, but we still really enjoyed it, and it was just like a really nice peaceful thing. And then we went to Colorado Springs, where we stayed at the Broadmoor, which is a super luxury resort. My husband said it's like the nicest place he's ever stayed. I think I probably agree. I'd actually been there once as a child as well, but that was super fun. And we did a really big hiking on our kind of second to last day. And then on our last day, we went to Denver and we saw some family that we have in Denver. So it was really, really just a fun trip. And despite everything and despite the pain I was in, it really did feel like a vacation. I think just not having the kids there made it very relaxing because, you know, it was a major break for both of us. So it was really, really nice. This is my book journal for the month. I only tracked 4 books this month. I did actually read more than that. I read a bunch of like trashy romances on Kindle Unlimited that I just did not keep track of. I also did a bunch of like rereads of old favorites this month, was definitely in a comfort reading kind of mood. And then towards the end of the month, I started a really long fantasy, which will be in my next book recap. All right, so that is my reading journal, and that is everything. So again, we just have all of my pages here. We started reading journal, then here was the photo spread, and then we finished up these pages as well. So let's dive into September. All right, so we're going to dive into the September calendar, just getting the decorative stuff set up, and I'll just finish talking about the books really quick. If you like historical fiction, I do highly recommend that Lisa C. book that I read, which was called Lady Tan's Circle of Women. Again, historical fiction set in China. I've read a bunch of her books, and I really like her. This one was not my favorite of hers, but still really, really good. And also The Starless Sea. I can't believe I hadn't read that before. Just so beautiful. Absolutely loved that. But yeah, overall, just not my best reading month, which is totally fine. I had a bunch of months where I read like a ton, and now I'm like so back on the fantasy train. Fantasy has just been my favorite genre this year, and yeah, I'm fully back into that now. So I really wanted to use the fall Simply Gilded washies that I had just gotten when I set this up, and the passport stamps that I love. And then I actually did add a extra color to my color scheme this month. Instead of doing 6, I kept my same 6 categories as usual, but I added back in the home category, which I haven't used in a couple of years, but we are currently getting our basement renovated. And so there's like a lot of different home appointments going on. And I thought it would be helpful to have that extra color, which actually the last time I had a home category was also from a renovation project that was from when we were moving, which was a couple years ago. So I find it really helpful to have that for when something's going on. So probably after like next month, I'll take it back out. I probably will still need it in October just based on where things are at. But then, you know, I'll go back to 6 categories after that. So it's really flexible when you create your own system, and you can always pop in an extra color. And if you don't end up using it, you can take it out the next month. So I really like to try and keep things flexible. My other categories are work, finances, appointments, kids stuff. I have like an other, which is the holidays and different things like that. And then I have a category for social media, although I don't put a ton of social media stuff in this planner. I did break that out into a separate planner, which is my Laurel Denise planner, and that plan with me is actually already up. but sometimes there are like key dates and deadlines that it's just helpful to have in here so that I know, if it's something that's going to impact my general life versus something that it's just like I'm posting this on social media. That's kind of how I decide whether it needs to be in this main planner as well. Because this planner is really like my one-stop hub for everything that's going on in my life. Like if I ever just need a big picture overview of what's going on this week, what's coming up this month, which I always do because this planner sits open on my desk all of the time, this is kind of what I use that for. So definitely there's a lot going on this month. I have said this so many times over on Instagram over the past couple of weeks, but this September, I think this might be the busiest month of my entire life. There is just literally so much going on. We've got back to school. The kids went back to school on September 4th or 5th, whatever, the day after Labor Day. And then, so we've got all that kind of beginning of the year chaos, plus all of the fall Jewish holidays. The high holidays are this month. And so there's like a lot of family stuff going on, extracurriculars, and then I'm also in the middle of like a major work project for my freelance business, and I'm taking a trip to Texas towards the end of this month or in the middle end of this month for that as well. So I'm getting ready for a work trip, which I only do like 1 to 2 work trips a year, so this is a very big deal. And yeah, so there's just a ton going on, and I'm really just trying to keep it together. I posted something the other day. I have like 5 planners open on my desk right now. Actually, I have 5 planners and 2 notebooks open on my desk, and they're all in use right now. Everything is very chaotic, and I'm trying to keep it under control, and the planners definitely help with that, taking notes on everything and just trying to keep on top of everything there. So there I am, marking that work trip kind of sandwiched in between the Jewish holidays, sandwiched in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And then I had a couple of things that I knew needed to be scheduled and I didn't want to forget about, and I didn't have an exact date for them yet, so I went ahead and used some sticky notes. Those sticky notes that are super small are actually from Laurel Denise as well, and I just used that to match, and I kind of think it matches with the color scheme, which is good because I didn't know how long I was going to need the sticky notes in my planner. I do keep a Google Calendar, and when I schedule out in advance, I schedule in my Google Calendar, and then I put everything in here at the beginning of the month or right before the month begins, and I do add to it throughout the month. I find it really helpful to keep it all color-coded like this. My Google Calendar is not color-coded. We just have like a basic kind of 2 calendar system where it's like stuff that I need to see and then stuff I need my husband to be able to see too. So that's just kind of how that works in Google, and I find that easier. And I don't need to see things all color coded out months in advance, but it's helpful to have it in there. And then I use that as a starting point for my calendar. So I'm going to spend a lot of time on these dashboard pages today because one of my main focuses, one of my main goals for this month is about the routine refresh, like making sure we're all set up for a good school year, really working on our routines, my routines, and the kids' routines to make sure everything is working. We're also starting a completely new schedule this month in terms of like extracurricular activities and things like that. So I spent a lot of time kind of working on these pages and really trying to think things through because I knew that these pages were going to be super important for me this month. So I'm adding in a little extra color distinction because this is the first year actually where I feel like my kids have different activities from each other at different times, at least the older 2. My youngest is still like a little bit young for that, but the kids are both taking tennis, but they're taking it on different days, and my oldest has Hebrew school and my son's not in that yet. So there's just like a lot of different activities going on that are not all at the same time, if that makes sense. So I didn't actually know them all yet either when I was setting up this calendar. I just had to leave space for that because we were still trying to finalize the schedule and make sure we got into all the programs we wanted, and then scheduled like the more private lessons beyond that. My kids do still take piano lessons, and then my daughter also sees a reading tutor. So we just, a lot of extracurriculars going on, a lot of schedules. And then I also tried to put in the regular chores that I always do the same time every week, like our big Sunday reset, and also, my midweek lunch prep and stuff like that. I tried to put that all in there as well so that I could really keep track of that. As I said, just really trying to keep an eye on things. And then I got a little bit decorative with this box. I wanted to play with the washies and the stamps as well. And then I'm going to end up drawing some leaves in there, leaf doodling. I actually have going to be teaching a class for Zebra Pen and Michael's coming up in October, and we're going to be doing some leaf doodles and leaf crafts, and I'm really excited for that. So I just wanted to kind of draw out some leaves and practice in here. This leaf doodling here, not my best work, but it turned out pretty cute, and I did sketch it out in a pencil first. I'm going to speed this up a ton because it took me a little while. I had not doodled any leaves since last year. This was the first time, so it's just a little bit rusty, but doodling doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's really fun to add into your planner. And yeah, I always try to work in pencil first. I think it really, really helps. So then I covered up the pencil with the pen, and I'll get everything erased, and then I'm going to just kind of color it in. I was just like playing around with how to color it in using my click art pens for that, which you'll see in just a minute. Those have really become some of my favorite pens right now. I'm like super, super obsessed with them. They're just really fun to draw with, to color with, and also like to draw a bold line in your planner, and I really like them for lettering as well. It's not a brush pen, it is like a hard tip pen. If you like Papermate flares, you should definitely give these a try. They're kind of like that style of pen, but I like these better, and you can like highlight on top of them. They're instant dry and the ink doesn't dry out. They're really fun, and they click, which is also really fun. And now I'm using a dot marker to color in because I just really like the color. That's the oatmeal one. That is probably one of my favorite dot markers. I love that set, the like neutral set that I have, mild neutral or whatever it's called. And then I decided to use the dots to do a little dot picture decoration in there. I think it looks really cute. I'm happy with how it turned out with all the washies and everything like that. Yeah, I had so many good fall washies to pull in. Had to bring in the apples a little bit too, in honor of Rosh Hashanah. If you don't know, that's like apples and honey is a thing for Sweet New Year because Rosh Hashanah is Jewish New Year. So I wanted to make sure I had some apples in my spread for September. So my monthly to-do list is mostly things transferred over from my Moxie Life, from my goals planner, and it's all of the task-oriented goals that I need. Like, so this is something that's like, I do this and then could check it off, not something that's like a little bit more philosophical or emotional or habity, anything like that. And then on the right hand side of this page, I like to do a big 3 or a big 4 for the month. And so I'm just putting that in with the flags, just kind of like, what are the main themes of the month, which this month it's back to school, this routine refresh, catching up on, having taken 2.5 weeks off at the end of the summer, which definitely requires some catching up on life, on work, on kind of all the things. And then we just got a lot of fall holidays and some fall fun planned. And then instead of doing habits in here for this month, since I never track habits in here because I don't think this makes sense. It's a monthly planner. It doesn't make sense to have a weekly habit tracker in here and then to only have like 1 week of time in here. But what I did decide to do was break out the kids' routines, and these are the elements of the kids' morning routine and afternoon, like after school routine. And we're really trying to focus on those 2 in particular. Bedtime, I feel pretty good about. We have that kind of under control, but this is kind of what we're working on. And I was like making routine charts, routine chore charts or whatever you want to call them for the kids so that they could have a more active role in that, particularly for my oldest, who we're really trying to work on building some independence for her. So like for her, she can do all the elements herself, but we would like to have to do less reminding. Like, you get dressed in the morning and you brush your teeth and your hair, and I don't want to have to keep saying every single morning, did you brush your hair? Because I can see that you didn't, stuff like that. Especially, she's going to be starting overnight camp next summer, so she's really, we feel like she's ready, but we're really going to work on building up some independence this year, and I think that's like the perfect age, and she's doing great with it so far, so hopefully we can keep that up. She is in 2nd grade, if you were wondering. And these 2 pages are my kind of like school and kid planning hub over here, so I have so much PTA stuff going on still. Again, it's the back to school year, it's the beginning of the year, and I am the treasurer for our school's PTA, and I did a bunch of stuff over the summer around like the budget and our taxes and new credit cards and all this stuff, and transferring the accounts over, different things like that. This is my 2nd year as the treasurer, which is great because I feel like I know what I'm doing right now, unlike at the beginning of last year, but there's definitely a lot going on at the beginning of the school year. So that, and then we also have a lot going on with activities. Now it's mostly resolved. We've got almost everything scheduled and starting mostly this week and last week, so all good there, but there was still like a lot up in the air about our activities when I sat down to plan this, so I really needed that space. And then this important dates one, I just try and keep this like very kid focused and school focused. There are things on there that are not kids in school, like holidays and my work trip and things like that, but that also impacts the kids' schedule and like childcare coverage and things like that. So I do try and keep these pages pretty kid focused. And then I decided to use this last section, which I use for different things always. I decided to use this as kind of like a idea page for our routine refresh. So all I'm doing right now is listing out the different routines that we have. I've got like my morning routine, the kids' morning routine, afternoon, evening, all of the different things. And I'm going to use this and have been using this to make notes on things that need to change. So then these pages, I'm whiting out the 2 headers. I do keep the milestones and achievements. This is my journaling page set of pages. So the left-hand side will be my book journal. This right-hand side, the top, I still do the milestones and achievements for each of the kids. It's just like a little space to journal something about each of my 3 kids, which I will set up by using their initials. And I'm using the brown click art pen this month because I just thought it matched really well. And then the bottom part is my little journaling space that I use to just kind of journal some thoughts on the month. It's just, I like having it in this small space because then I don't feel pressured to have to like fill a whole page. It's just very, you know, just like a little summary of the month. And I've mentioned this before, but I tend to journal more when I'm sad, not when I'm happy. And I've been really, really happy lately. And this will be my split listing page. So just any kind of lists that I need to make throughout the month, any non-school stuff go in there. And then I'm just going to set up my line a day memory keeper. All right, here are my September pages all finished up. I absolutely love how this turned out. I hope you enjoyed getting to plan with me. I hope you are having an awesome month of September. Mine is definitely very busy. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And you can also check me out on Instagram and TikTok at My Crafty Plans for even more planner fun. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.